If you ever babysit in a house where the children refuse to enter one specific room, leave immediately. Don't ask questions, don't stay after midnight. And if you notice a clown sitting somewhere you swear wasn't there before, don't look at its eyes, because sometimes the thing watching you from the corner isn't pretending to be a clown, it's pretending to be harmless. Police reports later claimed the babysitter stayed calm during the entire incident. That wasn't true. When officers found her outside the house that night, she couldn't stop shaking. And even now, years later, she refuses to speak about what she saw sitting inside the children's bedroom, especially the part about the eyes, because according to her, the clown blinked first. This is Tales of the Dark, and this is the story of the clown hidden inside the children's room. Emily Harper was 21 years old when she accepted the babysitting job. It was supposed to be easy money. One night, 2 children, quiet suburban neighborhood, nothing unusual. At least that's what she believed before entering the house. The father's name was Daniel Reeves, tall, exhausted-looking, always distracted. The kind of man who looked like he hadn't slept properly in months. He explained everything quickly while unlocking the front door. 2 kids. Oliver was 8, Sophie was 5, bedtime at 9:30, no junk food, no scary television. Emily immediately noticed something strange the second she entered the house. It felt empty, not physically empty, emotionally empty, like nobody inside had laughed there in a very long time. Family photos covered the walls, but almost every picture containing the children's mother had been turned face down. Emily noticed that immediately. Daniel noticed her noticing. "She passed away last year," he said quietly. "Car accident, simple explanation, too rehearsed." The kind repeated too many times. Emily apologized awkwardly. Daniel forced a smile, then quickly changed the subject. "The kids are upstairs." That was the moment Emily met Oliver and Sophie. Oliver barely looked at her. The boy sat on the living room floor building something silently with toy blocks. Sophie hid halfway behind the staircase railing, staring at Emily nervously. Neither child smiled, neither child acted excited, and strangely, neither child seemed surprised by strangers entering the house. Like babysitters came and went often, Emily tried being friendly immediately. "What are you guys building?" Oliver answered without looking up. "A wall, not a fort, not a castle. A wall." Something about the way he said it bothered her. The father grabbed his keys near the door. "I'll be back around 6 in the morning." Before leaving, he hesitated slightly, like he almost wanted to say something else. Then finally, "If Sophie asks about her mother," his voice lowered carefully, "just change the subject." Then he left. The silence afterward felt enormous. Rain tapped softly against the windows outside while the house settled around them. Emily tried making conversation. The children barely responded, especially Sophie. The little girl constantly glanced toward the upstairs hallway, like she expected someone standing there. Eventually, Emily convinced them to watch cartoons together in the living room. Things slowly became less uncomfortable. Sophie even smiled once, but every time laughter started filling the room, Oliver looked nervous, like happy sounds were dangerous there. Around 8:30, Emily finally started preparing the kids for bed. That was when things became strange. The second Emily mentioned bedtime, Sophie froze completely. The little girl's face lost all color. No, not whining, fear, real fear. Emily crouched beside her calmly. "What's wrong?" Sophie whispered something so quietly Emily almost missed it. "She'll hear us upstairs." A cold feeling crawled slowly through Emily's stomach. Oliver immediately interrupted. "Sophie." Warning tone, the little girl looked down instantly. Emily forced a smile. "Who'll hear you?" Neither child answered. That silence felt worse than any response could have. Eventually, Emily guided them upstairs anyway. The second-floor hallway was dark except for one weak nightlight near the children's room. Emily noticed another strange detail immediately. One of the doors farther down the hallway had multiple locks installed on the outside. Not inside, outside. She stared at it briefly while helping Sophie brush her teeth. "What's that room?" Oliver answered before Sophie could. Mom's room, flat voice. No emotion. Emily wisely stopped asking questions. Then she entered the children's bedroom for the first time and immediately felt her stomach tighten. The room itself looked normal enough. Toy shelves, storybooks, nightlight glowing softly beside the bed, but sitting in the far corner near the closet was a clown. Not a toy clown, not a small doll. A life-sized clown figure sitting silently in an old wooden chair. Its face looked disturbingly realistic. White makeup, red smile, blue painted tears beneath the eyes. The thing looked almost human beneath the dim lighting. Emily jumped slightly. Sophie noticed immediately. "He watches people," the little girl said it casually, like discussing weather. Emily laughed nervously. "It's just a decoration." But even while saying that, she couldn't stop staring at the clown. Something about it felt deeply wrong, not supernatural, not magical, just wrong. The proportions looked too realistic. The eyes too detailed, the posture too natural, like somebody froze a real person mid-movement. Oliver climbed quietly into bed, avoiding eye contact with the clown entirely. Sophie did the same. Neither child looked toward the corner, not once. Emily sat between the beds reading a storybook aloud while rain continued outside. Halfway through the story, she noticed something strange. Every time she shifted position, the clown's eyes appeared to face her, not moving directly, just wrong somehow, like the angle changed when she wasn't paying attention. Emily stopped reading briefly. Her heart beat slightly faster. She moved left slowly. The clown's gaze still seemed fixed directly on her. She moved right, same thing, the eyes followed. A nervous laugh escaped her throat, probably some optical illusion. That had to be it, still. She finished the story much faster than intended. After tucking the children into bed, Emily quickly turned toward the door. Then Sophie suddenly spoke behind her. "Don't let him stand up." Emily froze halfway through the doorway. "What?" The little girl pulled her blanket closer around herself. The clown. Silence filled the room. Then Oliver whispered sharply, "Sophie, stop." The younger child immediately looked terrified after speaking. Emily forced herself to smile reassuringly. "It's okay, there's nobody inside the clown." The children said nothing, and somehow their silence made the room feel colder. Emily finally left the bedroom around 10:30. The moment she closed the door, she felt relief. Actual physical relief, like escaping pressure. She shook her head, trying to laugh at herself. It was just a creepy decoration, nothing more. Back downstairs, she turned on the television, trying to relax. But even while watching TV, her thoughts kept returning to the clown upstairs. The eyes, the posture, the strange realism. At one point, she even considered texting the father jokingly about it. Then around 11:15, she heard something upstairs, a soft creaking sound. Emily muted the television immediately. Silence. Then another noise, very slow, like wood shifting under weight. The sound came directly from the children's room. Emily stared toward the dark staircase for several seconds, then slowly stood up. Oliver, no answer. Sophie, nothing. She climbed the stairs carefully while her pulse quickened with every step. The hallway upstairs looked darker now. The children's bedroom door remained slightly open, and from inside she heard something moving softly across the floor, not walking, dragging. Emily slowly pushed the bedroom door wider. The children slept peacefully beneath dim nightlight glow. Nothing moved, nothing looked wrong. Then her eyes shifted toward the corner. The clown was no longer sitting against the wall. Now it sat closer to the beds, only a few feet away. Emily stopped breathing. She knew exactly where it had been earlier, knew it, slowly, very slowly. She looked down toward the wooden floor beneath the chair. Fresh scratch marks stretched across the floorboards, like something heavy had been dragged forward. Emily immediately grabbed both children awake. Oliver looked terrified instantly, not confused, terrified. He moved again. Sophie started crying. Emily's hands shook violently now. She pulled both children toward the bedroom door without taking her eyes off the clown. Then suddenly, the clown tilted its head slightly, just slightly, but enough to destroy every logical explanation inside her mind. Emily grabbed her phone immediately and called the father. The father answered on the third ring. His voice sounded exhausted, half asleep. Emily, she could barely speak properly. The clown in the children's room, her breathing shook violently. It moved. Silence filled the phone for 2 full seconds. Then the father responded carefully. "What clown?" Emily stared back toward the bedroom doorway. The clown remained motionless beside the children's beds. Its painted smile looked larger somehow beneath the dim nightlight. "The clown sitting in the corner of their room," she whispered. Another pause, longer this time. Then the father said something that made her entire body go cold. "We don't own a clown." Emily immediately grabbed both children tighter. "What? There's no clown in that room." The hallway suddenly felt much smaller around her. Emily looked back toward the bedroom again. The clown was still there, watching. "You're joking." "I'm not joking." His voice no longer sounded tired, now it sounded afraid. "Take the kids downstairs right now." The line disconnected immediately afterward. Emily didn't hesitate. She pulled Oliver and Sophie toward the staircase while trying not to look back toward the room. But halfway down the hallway, Sophie started crying harder. "She's awake now." Emily froze. "Who?" The little girl looked toward the bedroom. "Mommy." Oliver immediately snapped at her. "Stop saying that," but his voice cracked while speaking, like he believed it too. Emily rushed the children downstairs and locked the living room door behind them, even though she knew that wouldn't help if someone was truly inside the house. Rain slammed harder against the windows outside now. Thunder rolled somewhere in the distance. The house suddenly felt alive around them. Every creak sounded deliberate, every shadow looked wrong. Emily grabbed the house phone with shaking hands and dialed emergency services. While waiting for an answer, she noticed something horrifying. The upstairs hallway light had turned on. Nobody had gone upstairs. Slowly, a shadow stretched across the second-floor wall. Long, thin, human. Emily immediately pulled the children behind the couch. The emergency operator finally answered. "There's someone inside the house," Emily whispered. Her voice barely worked anymore. "I think he's dressed like a clown." The operator asked for the address while Emily kept staring upstairs. The shadow remained perfectly still near the hallway wall. Then suddenly it moved, not walking, crawling. The shadow slowly disappeared across the ceiling toward the staircase. Emily felt Sophie bury her face against her shoulder, trembling violently. The little girl whispered, "She crawls at night now." Emily nearly dropped the phone. "What did you say?" But before Sophie could answer, a sound echoed softly from upstairs. A laugh, not loud, not exaggerated, a quiet woman's laugh. The kind a mother might use while comforting a child. That somehow made it far worse. The emergency operator told Emily police were already on the way, minutes away, but the house no longer felt survivable for even another minute. Then footsteps creaked slowly above them, heavy, deliberate. Something moved across the second floor directly overhead. Emily looked upward just in time to hear another noise, dragging, like something heavy being pulled across wooden floors. Oliver suddenly whispered, "She used to stand beside our beds at night." Emily slowly looked toward him. The boy's face looked pale gray beneath the television light. She watched us sleep. Every instinct inside Emily screamed for her to run outside immediately, but the front door required crossing the staircase, and now something was already descending slowly from the second floor. Step, creak, step, creak. Emily held her breath completely, then she saw it. The clown slowly emerging down the staircase into darkness. Its body looked horribly human now, not a mannequin, not decoration. A real person wearing old clown makeup smeared across pale skin. Its arms bent unnaturally while descending each stair. The clown's eyes locked directly onto Emily, and this time it smiled wider. Sophie screamed immediately. The clown stopped moving, completely still again, then softly it spoke, "Come to mommy." Emily's entire body went numb. The voice beneath the makeup was female, human, broken. The clown took another slow step downward. Emily grabbed a fireplace poker beside the couch immediately. "Stay back." The clown tilted its head almost curiously. then slowly reached one hand outward toward the children. Its fingernails looked filthy, long, cracked. "Oliver," the voice whispered softly. "Sophie." The children buried themselves behind Emily, crying hysterically now. The clown descended another stair, then another. Emily realized something horrifying. The figure wasn't attacking. It was trying to approach gently, like it genuinely believed the children would willingly go with it. Then suddenly police sirens echoed outside. The clown froze instantly. For the first time, its expression changed. Fear, real fear. Red and blue emergency lights flashed across the windows. The clown immediately turned toward the staircase again, moving far faster than before. Not human fast, animal fast. It crawled upward on all fours, disappearing into darkness above. Emily heard officers pounding on the front door seconds later. She nearly collapsed opening it. 3 officers rushed inside immediately, while another escorted Emily and the children outside into the rain. The cold air hit her like waking from a nightmare, but inside the house, the horror wasn't over. Officers searched upstairs room by room. One policeman eventually entered the children's bedroom. Then silence filled the radio communication. A few seconds later, another officer asked, "What did you find?" The response came shakily, "There's somebody under the bed." Emily felt her stomach collapse. Under the bed. The officers dragged the clown figure out moments later in handcuffs while rain poured around the front lawn. The makeup looked smeared now, fake red smile running down pale skin like blood. Wet hair clung across the woman's face, and when Emily finally saw her clearly beneath the flashing police lights, she understood why the children had been so terrified. Because despite the ruined makeup, despite the pale skin, despite the madness in her eyes, the woman looked exactly like the family photos turned face down around the house. The children's mother, alive. One officer quietly explained everything afterward. Months earlier, the woman had disappeared after severe psychological breakdowns and financial problems. Everyone believed she died during a car accident after authorities discovered burned remains inside a crashed vehicle, but dental records were never fully confirmed. The woman had faked her death, then secretly returned for the children. Police later discovered she'd been hiding inside the locked upstairs room for weeks, watching the family, waiting, sneaking into the children's room every night after the father left for work, sleeping beneath the bed during daytime. Emily nearly became sick hearing that. The mother never stopped staring toward the children while officers forced her into the police car, not angry, not violent, heartbroken. That somehow made it worse. As police prepared to leave, Daniel finally arrived home. The second he saw his ex-wife in the police vehicle, all color drained from his face. He looked completely destroyed. The children refused to look at their mother at all, especially Sophie. The little girl hid silently against Emily while police lights flashed across the neighborhood. Eventually, an ambulance arrived to evaluate everyone. The nightmare finally seemed over. Emily sat wrapped in a blanket near the curb trying to calm her breathing while officers continued searching the house. Then Sophie quietly tugged her sleeve. Emily looked down. The little girl stared toward the dark second-floor window above them and whispered something so softly Emily almost didn't hear it. That was Mommy's clown. A cold feeling spread instantly through Emily's chest. "What?" Sophie pointed upward slowly. Toward the children's bedroom window, Emily looked up automatically. At first she saw only darkness, then lightning flashed across the sky, and for one horrifying second, another clown face appeared inside the upstairs window, watching them, different makeup, different smile, completely motionless. Then the lightning vanished, and the face disappeared with it. Emily stood up instantly, but when officers searched the room again minutes later, they found nothing. No second intruder, no clown costume, nothing except wet scratch marks leading toward the closet wall. Police blamed stress, trauma, fear, but years later, Emily still refuses to discuss what she saw in that window because she knows something the police never understood. When lightning illuminated that second clown's face, it wasn't looking at the children. It was staring directly at her and smiling. If you are brave enough to hear more nightmares, subscribe to Tales of the Dark, and if you have your own terrifying experience, leave it in the comments or send your story by email. Maybe your nightmare will become the next story told here.